Wahey! Love it. Fantastic. I congratulate you.
Years, but I've watched it that many times.
Yeah.
I just know what's coming. You just know.
But don't you find, because we have about, I don't know, because we'll go through box sets and then we'll go back to the first one. And it can take a year or a year and a half to get through, the ones that we really like, and then come back again. And I've forgotten things about the episodes. I'm like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, but as soon as you see them, as soon as they start playing, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. See, I have a kind of brain I can forget things I don't want to remember, which is kind of useful.
Yeah, that's useful.
Okay.
Right, are you ready, Angie?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'll do the countdown, press the start button, and then it's over to you.
Cool.
3, 2, 1.
Are we recording? It's not come up with a little doodah on it. Okay, there we go. Haha, cool. So it didn't have the little red thing on it. Okay, folks. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're well. Yeah, thank you for being here. Okay, folks, we've got a big one this week. And it's very let's start that sentence again. It's very pertinent and potent as well. I was trying to put those two words together, which is kind of weird. Because I think a lot of us are experiencing this at the moment. I know we are in many different ways, shapes, and forms. So tonight's topic is weaponizing normality, and there's a second bit to it, through toxic perception. Interesting. And this has kind of many layers to it. So get your ears open. So, weaponizing normality through toxic perception. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the word perception. I think I did a show on this quite some time ago now, about the difference between perception and perspective. So from where I'm sitting, boom, boom, joke. Your perception is always going to be influenced by your perspective. So, for example, if you're climbing up a hill, what you see, which is your perception, will be determined by how far you are up the hill. Okay, so your perception is informed by your perspective. Okay, so that's a little bit out of the way. So what do we mean, first of all, by weaponizing normality? Okay, so maybe take being a parent, for example. Yeah, I think most of us have done that. And it's a very hard job. And it's one you don't get thanks for most of the time. And some of the things you do, so this is the lens of being a parent. Okay, think of it as different lenses or layers, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah. So the lens of being a parent has a lot of different things in that layer, so one of those would be discipline, for example. Another one would be, having fun, as a parent, because that is allowed, funny enough. So there are many different things that encompass the lens of being a parent. So if you are having the experience of being a parent through that lens, yeah, then that's normal, yeah. But what I find really interesting is there is a bit of a weird phenomenon going on. Some people are actually calling it an epidemic, which is interesting. It has different names, but essentially it's a lot of adult children turning around to parents and kind of saying things like, and this is really weird. It's because I've done a little bit of research on this. quite a lot actually. It's being pushed. I want to say a lot, but it is happening, where if children, adult children, are going into some kind of therapy, it's a strange thing that's happening with the therapist. Not all, obviously, that encourage adult children to. It used to be called divorcing your parents, didn't it? It's now called parental alienation. But it used to be called divorcing your parents, which is kind of weird. So there's this strange trend at the moment of this phenomena, or epidemic, if you want to call it that, which is happening, which is very, I don't know. It's like they've taken that lens, parenting lens. They've taken that lens off and gone, because their perception isn't now going through the lens of parenting. This is the adult children. It's really interesting, because without that lens of parenting, what do you then get? Well, I was disciplined. They had conversations with me. They. I don't know, because it's parenting, you know what I mean? Being a parent, being a responsible parent involves a lot of things that, without that lens of parenting, I don't know, could be called all kinds of things. It's really interesting. So that's just one example, yeah. Another example I have of things that are normal, yeah. So in your neighborhoods, you might talk to people, if you've got good neighbors, and some of our neighbors around here, maybe not so much now. 2020 did weird things to communities, I have to say. But for example, I had a neighbor next door. Whenever she went away, she'd give me her key just in case there was an issue and council needed to get in there. Normal. Yeah, through the lens of being a good neighbor, that's normal. Yeah. Now, it's like, because that lens is taken off, it's like, no, why would I give anyone my key to get into my home? It's really strange, yeah, how things that were, normal life to a human, yeah, before, are now being weaponized. And the big one, obviously, the big elephant in the room, or unicorn, got a pink unicorn sitting over there. Literally, I have. It's not an imaginary unicorn. The big one, obviously, was 2020. Something quite normal, which was flu, was weaponized through a toxic perception. So that particular lens was the one that the government put over it and went, oh my God, and drawing those weird cartoon, I don't know what they were. It was really weird. It was like weird cartoon viruses everywhere. It was bizarre. But because most people were seeing it through that lens, it weaponized something that was completely normal. And the doctor used to say to you, whenever they didn't know what was wrong with you, they would say, oh, I think it's a virus. When they didn't know what was wrong with you, they'd just say, go home, get some rest, take some paracetamol or aspirin back then, and and you'll be fine. Because that was normal, yeah, through the lens of, these things happen. But if you put a different lens on it, so the lens of a toxic perception, so that would always involve, for example, a hidden agenda, for example. Yeah, the hidden agenda in that case was control and manipulation. Yeah, so they had to get people to see it through that lens, that toxic perception, yeah, for it to be able to do it, for it to be able to work their magic, their particular brand of magic, which is toxic magician magic. Yeah. You could also say it's the illusionist. It's the sleight of hand. It's not true magic. Yeah. So why? That's my question. Why? Okay. So why? Why would anyone want to weaponize things that are normal in life? Yeah. That's question number one. I'd say there are many layers to that. You have, it's funny because me and Val were talking about this yesterday. It's like this, what is going on in the world at the moment? Because I don't know about you guys, we're experiencing a lot of this, things that we go and do that are normal, yeah, who we are, yeah, are being weaponized. It's very strange, and it could feel like an attack, is what I would say. But it certainly feels like there is something going on. That's for sure. And I suppose one of the things that I wonder is the reason why we're experiencing this in such a intense way. And it kind of feels like, so, well, back in the day when they used to have the space shuttle, do you remember that? Wow, that was a long time ago. And on re-entry, the front of it would get hot, wouldn't it? Because that's the bit that's kind of in contact with the most resistance, yeah. The density, because obviously it's going from, no density up in space to, hitting the atmosphere, more density, and the more denser, is that a word? The atmosphere, the more resistance there is. And pardon me, you actually saw the alchemical process because it was fire. Yeah. Is that what we're experiencing? That's a question. Go away and think about that. Is that what we're actually experiencing? Because that's kind of what it feels like. I don't know about you folks, but it certainly feels that there are things coming up on a very personal level, but we're seeing it out there as well, through institutions which don't know which side is up, couldn't organise a pee up in a brewery, and it is, you sit back and you think, hold on a minute. When, like 30 years ago, they might have been disorganised, but they weren't that disorganised. Yeah. So, are we experiencing on, like I say, personal level and, out there, this alchemization process? Because as things come up, so the way I see it, once they're coming out of the physical body, and that could be, I've got strange, I was telling Val about this last night, I've got these weird little bumps that have come up on my hands. So I don't know what they are. They came up overnight. They weren't there, and then they were. Weird. And it's like now and again, if I push on them, they'll just disappear. They go. So what is that? And the way I see that, it's stuff that's been in the physical body, and it's literally, how I see it is that it's the last stop before it leaves. That's how I see energy, is it's leaving for good, basically. Yeah. And it can move very slowly because it's in a dense physical structure. So, is that what we are experiencing? Because I find it quite interesting that there's stuff going on in the body. There's lots of stuff going on out in the world. Yeah. that appears to be the energy of alchemizing, the breaking down of matter to be reformed into something, I don't want to say better, but I would say more aligned. That's kind of what it's kind of what it feels like. One of the things is the heat. And I actually, I'd come through the change. But Ian's getting it as well. That very intense, fiery heat, which feels to me like the alchemization process. There's also the feeling of sometimes it's like your whole body is pulsating. If there's a resonance going on, yeah, and as quick as it starts, it can stop, which I find quite interesting. And again, yeah, if we are designed for this physical whole body physical ascension experience, then it's normal. Yeah, it's normal for us to go through this alchemical process. But has it been weaponized? All the things that we experience in this process seem to have been weaponized, which I find quite interesting as well. So, whether it's, pains in the body, strange things coming up in your fingers. A lot of people at the moment seem to have this, like a, not a, I was going to say dampness. That sounds a bit weird. A lot of, okay, mucus. Let's call it what it is, shall we? I'm going to pussyfoot around that. And it's kind of, it's coming out. It's coming out, yeah. Is that a byproduct of this alchemical process that we are aware of? I do have to wonder, because what's really interesting about it, and I don't know if this is for everyone, but certainly for us, we don't feel ill. It's just a lot of stuff coming up and out. And I find that quite interesting. But if that's part of the normal, alchemicalization process of, walking this path, then why would it need to be weaponized? Yeah. So obviously, one of the reasons for weaponizing anything normal is to create fear. Yeah. Which is that closed down, very restricted state that particular word triggers. Yeah, it triggers that contraction. Yeah, which is a form of control, is it not? So I think that's part of it as well. So for people who are creative, in whichever way, shape or form you're creative, you're connected to divine source energy. It's a very expansive energy. It, I would say, encompasses your whole being. Yeah. But if you're not connected to divine source energy and you're not expansively creative, which is the Discordian energy of creative order from disorder, yeah, as opposed to destructive order from disorder, which is what that lot out there, the people who think they're in charge, that's what they employ. It's a destructive force rather than a creative force, because why do I say that? Because they instill fear. They instill the negative programming, they instill all the things that keep you going, oh my God, like put your hand over your eyes and just duck your head and just don't look. Yeah. Whereas the creative force is expansive. It can be no other way. Yeah. You only got to look at nature to know that. Yeah. So yeah, weaponizing normality is definitely a control mechanism. And really, when you really think about it, the only beings that would need to put in that control mechanism are people who are in great fear or great fear and pain. So why would they be in great fear and pain? Well, I'd say that's because they're not connected to divine source energy. I would say you could even speculate that would be maybe NPC types, maybe. But certainly those who have had their strings cut because they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know how to operate without the people who used to pull the strings. They went in 2022. So what we have left are these. I don't actually have a name for them. Puppets is probably the best way. Puppets with their strings cut. Who have a very toxic perception because they were being heavily controlled and manipulated by whatever it was. I don't know what those things were that were pulling the strings. But I do know that they have gone. They went, like I said, they went in 2022. So whatever is left of those stringless puppets, they have this toxic perception, which they try. That lens is what they try and put over everything now. So whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you are, I don't know, a pagan. Pagans have been being attacked recently, which is really strange. I don't know, whether you drive a car or you don't drive a car. All these things that are, within the human experience to experience. Are being weaponized because I think it's because the stringless puppets have actually lost control because it filters down, doesn't it? It's like a what would it be like? Kaplunk? No. Some kind of strange filter. So what we see in society is the kind of watered down version of what, for example, governments do. Yeah, how governments think and their actions filter down to us lot, us rabble. And if you are a free thinker, then it doesn't tend to affect you as much as if you just go along. Be the go along guy. You know what I mean? And we see that, and it is quite telling, I would say. So yeah, toxic perception. Weaponizing normality through toxic perception. So it's very much determined by your perspective, where you are on your journey. Yeah. It's certainly determined by what lens you're looking through. Yeah. Also, I would say how you frame things, which is slightly different to the lens. So think of the framing as a window. Yeah. So you're looking through a window, you can see outside, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's really cool out there. And then you put some kind of coloured film, like a green coloured film, actually no, yellow coloured film over the window, and all of a sudden you've got a different lens, yeah, or a different coloured window. So what's really interesting is if you wear yellow glasses, it makes the greens really, 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 really green. I know, because I've done it. So that gives you a very different perception of the world. Yeah. So what would be, okay, so a toxic perception of what you're looking at through your window is if the film that you're putting over the window, I don't know, has, I don't know, lots of guns printed on it, or lots of bombs printed on it, or, you know, you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So you're not seeing the world. This is the overlay that I've spoken about before. So you're not seeing the world as it actually is. You're seeing it with this strange overlay, the filter. Yeah. I hope this is making sense so far. I really do. Excuse me. So this was something that Ian came up with the other day. Because we were trying to get to grips with something that had come into our experience. And both me and Ian are people that like to take things apart, see what they're all made of, give them a good look over, and then, you know, put them back either in the way they came to us, or, you know, configure them slightly differently so it works for us. Yeah. So what we realized is this thing that had come into our experience, the words that were on this 9 pieces of paper. it was a dissertation. All the things that we do, which are normal for us, yeah, had been weaponized through this perception of, what would that be? The perception of the frame was the frame would be what would the frame have been? Yes, that the person that had written these words didn't have the medical condition they did have. Interesting. So it shifts. So from our perspective, we're still looking at it through the lens where they did have that medical condition. But for them, because they're in denial about having a medical condition, they've taken that, they've thrown that in the bin. And so they're now looking at everything like, well, that wasn't normal. Well, it is if you have this medical condition. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So it's determined by the perspective. The perspective informs your perception, and if that perception is distorted, because it's a distortion, yeah. If it's not, let me rephrase that. If your perception is been distorted by, you could say, too many overlays, too many filters, well, you can't even see what the actual truth of something is. Does that make sense? So it then becomes, the perception then becomes distorted so much, pardon me, that even something like putting a pair of shoes on, you know, it's like, well, no, you don't want to be putting your shoes on like that. Or what was a classic one that they tried to do? Oh, wearing gloves. That was it, wasn't it? Yes. Everywhere you go, you must wear gloves. What? Like those horrible things that you can't get on your You can't get on your hands. Weird. So yeah, so bare hands, normal, yeah, wherever you go. All of a sudden, this toxic perception comes along. Everyone must now wear gloves. You know, there's ones that you can't get on and off your hands, not for want of trying, anyway. Can you see? It feels quite modular, actually, and I like things that are modular. Because what you can do, and this is where the magic is. So because we go, yeah, I'll have that layer for my window. When something else comes in, you go, oh yeah, I'll have that as well. That's really cool, actually. I really like that. I'm going to have that for my window as well. So, for example, global warming, yeah. Or as one of my friends says, global warming, cooling, something, burning, climate change or something. It's just really funny. If that is your frame, then you're going to see everything as yeah, makes sense. So we got your window. You've got all these layers of. I only have two hands, so I can only do two layers. Sorry. So you got all these layers covering your window, so you can't actually even see anymore what is actually out there outside your window. Yeah. Do you know what's really empowering about coming to this realization? Have a guess. Have a guess. Go on, guess. You can take them off again. You allowed them to be put on, so you can go, actually, I'm not doing this anymore. Frill this, I'm taking them off. And yeah, you might have to take them off one by one. They might come off in pieces. That's fine. They might come off. You know, how satisfying is it when you can peel a label off all in one go? Well, sometimes those, what are we calling them? Those layers of film do come off all in one go. And I have to wonder if that is what we're experiencing right now with this weaponising of normality. It's like the layer is being peeled off. Yeah. So what we're seeing is how much. It's like that. The idea that if you have blinkers on, yeah, you're going to see a very, very small piece of what is going on. Yeah. Which, when we have these layers of film over the window, we can't see. And it's just taking them off, yeah, and they fall away through, you know, I hesitate to say doing the work, through aligning with who you actually are, yeah, which is actually a lot more simple than people might think. So as these layers of film are falling off, we actually get to see more, unfortunately, of how much normality has been weaponized. It's like taking your sunglasses off. It's like taking your yellow sunglasses off and going, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Where's all the green gone? Because you were looking through the yellow sunglasses, yeah, or they're called color therapy glasses, actually. They're very cool. You can get them in all different colors. And once you take those off, you go, whoa, hold on a minute, this looks weird. Because it's not super, 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 super emerald green anymore. It's just beautiful nature. But because you've taken the glasses off, you've taken one layer of the film off the window. It's like, whoa, hold on a minute. So maybe that's what we're experiencing. It's not that it's increasing. Maybe. Just a theory. It's not that it's increasing. It's actually we're peeling off. So not literally like leprosy, don't worry. We are what's the word? Blah. The intention is to come back to who we truly are. So the process of that is to, you know, Let's have a look under there. What's under there? And sometimes it's not pretty. Definitely not. So we're peeling it off. We're peeling it off. It's coming off. And I think it's actually coming off as whole sheets at the moment, which is why this weaponising of normality seems to be on the increase. But I think it's more about our eyes are more open. We're seeing with a bigger range of our senses. So what do I mean by that? If you imagine even your senses have had all these layers on them, yeah, all these layers of film on them. So as we pull them back, we can sense more with all of our senses. That's quite exciting. And I think that's why we're seeing more synchronicities. Just yesterday. Oh, this is a mad one. So we had not a very good day yesterday for different reasons, which I'm not going to go into. But it was one of those days where I could just sit there and cry all day. Ian slept most of the afternoon for a couple of hours, I think, because it was exhausting. So I was watching this reading, and planet Saturn came up, and it hit me right between the eyes. Oh my God. Your Saturn return comes around every 27 years. Yeah. I was 54 this year. It's my Saturn return. No wonder it's been a doozy. But that's not the end of it. So as I'm sitting there, and I'd come to this realization, and I was talking to Val about it. As I said those words, Val had typed 0000, 12 o'clock, reset the world. And I'm like, whoa. Okay, because Saturn is all about structure, yeah, containing, time. But what's even more weird, so it was 0000, the 27th. So don't be surprised if these synchronicities are coming even quicker, almost like you can't quite keep up with them. And I would say, don't worry about trying to see them all at the same time. You know, the ones that come in front of your magical eyes, you know, they'll be the ones that make you go, wow, oh my goodness, oh my gods. So weaponizing normality through toxic perception. I think that's probably, well, it is a theory, obviously. I'm just putting it out there. It's not that it's on the increase, it's that we are able to see it now more and more and more, I would say. That's my theory anyway. But it will always be informed by your perspective. Sorry, your perception is informed by your perspective. So, for example, yeah, if someone is intent on being high conflict, yeah, and someone who is high conflict will never ever seek a resolution to anything, because conflict is what feeds them, yeah. I would say that's a toxic perception informed by their perspective, which would probably be extreme victim. But it gets so twisted and distorted that then gets thrown on everyone else, this weaponizing normality, for example, yeah, which is kind of what we've Yeah, that's what we've been seeing with the whole, well, what's a woman and what's a man? Well, there's no such thing as a woman anymore, and I don't know what a man is. What's that? Really weird stuff that's been going on, which I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I'm not hearing quite so much about that anymore, but it might have just gone under the radar a little bit. Who knows? So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope I've made some sense this evening. So I am going to open it up and see if it did make sense, number one. And number two, if anyone has anything to add about this kind of... Hello!
Oh, wow. Right. Two things I'm going to get out of my head first.
Yep.
So I don't forget them.
Yep.
Well, three things, actually. First of all, thank you for tonight.
That's all right.
And the other two things are two phrases or two sayings or two things that when you were talking earlier on about politicians, etc., one of the most infuriating phrases that I've come to hear over the last few years is the phrase, we can learn a lot from this, or we can learn something from this, or we can learn from this regarding whatever atrocity has been committed because some knobhead hasn't done the job properly.
Yeah.
And the reason why I find it infuriatingly annoying is because there is nothing new on the planet. There is nothing new that we're doing that we have to learn from. We've done it all before already. So there's nothing to learn from. What there is incompetence. And this
Yeah.
should be stopped.
Absolutely.
So that was, I wanted to get that one out before I forget that one. And the other one is earlier this week, from out of nowhere or from within nowhere, this idea popped into my head of crisp packets. Now, we're all familiar with crisp packets, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So here's a little challenge for you. If you or any kind of packet, like a crisp packet, it doesn't have to be crisps, it can be noodles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just have a take note of whether or not you open the packet from the way the printed label is upright, or whether you open it from the bottom, as it were, the opposite end, because it really doesn't make any difference which end you open it, but instinctively or conditioned to, we open it at the top.
Interesting.
So you reminded me of that thought that I'd had earlier in the week that I sort of played and chewed around with in my mind for a couple of days and then forgot about. And then with what you were talking about tonight, sort of the conditioning and the things that we do without even thinking and that sort of thing. And I thought, yeah, that sort of reminded me of that. So I wanted to say that. Just try opening a packet of crisps upside down, and I found out how hard it is to not do that, and then you realise how conditioned you are.
I'm going to do that. You know, I'm going to do that just to break the conditioning. Although sometimes, like if you're opening mushy peas, you can't open them upside down with a can opener.
No, but all my mushy peas come in a tin.
Yeah, but they have a weird bottom on them that you couldn't get a can opener on.
Yeah, but I was more thinking in the lines of sort of packets of crisps or packets of noodles or anything that comes in a packet that really a tin.
Well, you've laid the gauntlet down, Andy. This is going across the board now. If I can do things upside down, I'm gonna.
It's that automatic conditioning that you don't even think about, that you always open a packet of crisps from the top. When in actual fact, there is absolutely no difference to the top of the packet than there is to the bottom. They both open exactly the same way. It's not like a tin of mushy peas where you cannot open the top because the underside's shaped differently for stacking.
Yeah.
But a packet of crisps, you can open them from the bottom, you can open them from the top, it doesn't matter. But you're conditioned to automatically put the packet the right way up, open it from the top, and eat your crisps from the packet.
I like that. Very cool. I
try
do
and
like
catch
that.
yourself when
Yeah.
you're doing stuff like that, to see if you can catch yourself automatically opening whatever from the top when you could easily just have opened it from the bottom, but you're conditioned to open it from the top.
That's very cool. Yeah.
So those are the other two things I wanted to add in there that you inspired into my mind whilst listening to you. Lots of other stuff, but I'm not going to go into all of that. What I was going to ask you though is, after everything that you've said this evening, is there anything that you can say or let people know on what they can do to positively detract away from that, or positively ascend away from that, to diminish it, to battle against it?
What, the weaponising of normality?
Yeah.
Well, I think it always comes down to, if your way of doing something is coming from the heart, so that could be checking on a neighbour, for example, if you haven't seen them for a few days. That could be, the way you wear your shoes. It could be anything. If that's how you do it, then don't let anyone try and tell you that it's wrong, or that you're wearing the wrong colour shoes. You need to be wearing grey shoes, not black ones. That's kind of, I know it's a very silly example, but I think the more you know yourself, the more you know when those things are coming in, and you can identify them, you can sieve them out. Yeah. But it's always going to be about how far are you willing to go to know yourself, I suppose, is what I would say. And I think in this time that we're in at the moment, it's not going to take years to do that work, I don't think. Some of us have been on this path for decades, I'd even say lifetimes. But I think it's speeding up now. I don't know about you folks, but I certainly feel that. Because although these things are coming at us at a great speed, it feels, and on top of each other as well, and it's all a bit, excuse my French, fucking hell. As fast as it's coming in, we know we're alchemizing it, because like the next day, it's like today, a whole new day, whole new energy today, complete different energy to yesterday. Whereas I know for a fact, even 10 years ago, that energy that was around yesterday would have kind of reverberated in my whole being for months. And it's not doing that anymore, which I find really interesting. And I think that's because the more we align to who we truly are, the quicker these things just leave. That's my idea anyway. And it's about being creative as well. That's the other thing. How do you really want to be creative? And there's no rules on that, obviously.
Brilliant, yeah. The other thing as well that just popped into my head then was, going back to what you were saying earlier, is distractions. A lot of the crap that's out there are distractions. That they want focusing your attention over here when they're doing something over there. And it's not just one thing, it's multiple things. So they're doing multiple things over there, but they want your attention focused on multiple things over here. And it's like, don't look, we'll distract you.
Yeah.
With insignificance, but we'll make you think that it's not. We'll make you think that it's important when in actual fact it's not. Who cares whether Katie Price is doing this, that, or the other, or whether one footballer is doing another football? It doesn't matter. It's absolutely irrelevant. And the fact that it makes it onto news, current affairs, news programmes just goes to show how much of a control mechanism it is for distraction. And I think that's the cut those cords of distractions away and focus on the things that matter, that really matter, and don't focus on soap operas. Whether
Absolutely.
that's soap operas,
Yeah.
TV shows, whether it's football, whether it's politics, because it's all crap.
And
Just
you
distraction.
and you could even say that the whole idea of weaponizing normality is to creates drama. It gets people's attention. Yeah. If you're giving that weaponizing normality over there all your attention, that's giving it your energy, which is energy that really could be used for like clearing or ripping down those those weird filmy things that are on the window. So I hope it made sense what I was talking about.
It was. Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to share or speak about? It's all quiet.
Me and me.
Okay, so we could end it there, and then
we could. What I will say, I'll just give a quick little thing. I say it quite a lot over the last year or two. I've been saying it a lot ever since holistic radio came into play, and it's that ignorance is not bliss anymore. Ignorance is a choice in the 21st century. We can choose ignorance, and if you do choose ignorance, that isn't bliss. That's just arrogance. It's just foolishness. It's just, we do not need to be ignorant anymore. We have so much power at our fingertips, and it's a choice now. Ignorance is a choice. It's just not pure bliss.
I think
that's my bit.
I think ignorance has always been a choice, Andy, because there's a difference between ignorance and something called ignavi. So ignorance is when you know better, but you do it anyway. Yeah. And ignavi is when you don't know any better. You just don't know. You just don't know any better.
Ignorance is bliss has always been banded around that if you don't know, it can't harm you.
Yeah.
And once upon a time, yes, that was true. However, like I say, in this day and age, that phrase has been lost because it's a choice now. It might not have been a choice back then because it would be very difficult. In the 1970s, for you to do any kind of research on the kind of things that we can now do today would have been extremely difficult, if nigh on impossible. So back then,
well, even something like this, you couldn't do a radio show from your home. That. Yeah. Or get on a ship and be a pirate radio station. That was really cool. Well, those were the days, weren't they? Yeah. Radio Caroline. Wow. I wonder if it's still going.
Rachel, are you Rachel? Go on. I'll mute.
No, it's all right. I was just listening, but I feel the same. Really, that normality is well, now it's about everyone's perception of it, isn't it? Rather than what we believe to be normal.
Yeah. And I think it's sometimes just as basic as, don't go around hurting people. I mean, that's pretty basic, isn't it? And yet there are so many people out there who are hell-bent on creating as much harm as they possibly can. And I don't understand it.
It seems to be perfectly acceptable to do that. And you're right about high conflict people. There is absolutely, you can't engage with high conflict people. I know that. I live next door to a pair of them.
Oh, so do I.
You can't engage. You just can't.
No.
That fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, in the past didn't happen. It just didn't happen because people didn't. I don't know what's happened. It's all gone very wrong.
Well, what I would say is because we're not taught anything about this journey that we're on right now. Nothing.
No.
We have no shaman. We have no you know, when I say priests and priestesses, you know what I mean. I'm not talking about churchy people. I'm not talking about the old church there.
No, we're not.
So because everyone on the planet is going through this process, a lot of people don't understand it. So they have no understanding. They have no idea on how to manage it. So they just keep reacting. And I can't actually imagine what that must be like. That must be horrific, to be honest.
Absolutely.
But again, if they choose to be ignorant, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't help those people because they're high conflict because of what's going on. Yeah, no help there.
Yeah. And I am getting a lot better at transmuting it. Like you said, you become quick. It happens more quickly because of where we are and the journey we're on and what we're doing. So you're able to process it a lot more quickly.
Yeah.
That's how I feel as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Andy, do you want to end the recording and then we can carry on nattering if people want to natter?
Yeah, hang on. I'll just bring it up. Any final words of wisdom, Angie?
Yeah, well, if you change your perspective, you'll change your perception from, you know, if it's toxic, then it might actually become healthier if you change your perspective. So then you can stop weaponizing normality and actually live your life, be.